If it was genetic, I would not be a leader today. My dad was a carpenter. His dad was a mason. My great-grandfather was a chicken farmer. There's not a leader in any of them. However, I've been in leadership most of my professional career, and I can tell you my leadership has evolved as I've learned more and more about people and the world around us. I was horrible as a leader. I didn't know anything. Nobody gave me a roadmap. And I thought, I need to find these people and apologize.
Hey, Jim, welcome to Lazy Entrepreneur Show. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. I know we kind of reschedule a couple of times, but it's worth the wait. I finished reading your book, The 6 Pillars of Effective Leadership, A Roadmap to Success. And I love it. You know, it's so easy to read. And you think that these 6 pillars are like simple and very common. But if you like dig deep into it, it's not really easy to do, especially when you're a leader and when you're handling different types of people, right? And so before we dig deeper into this, I'm sure you're excited as well. I'm excited. Why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
I'd be glad to. So my name is Jim Carlough. I've been a leader for probably most of my professional career, which is well over 30 years. The last 25 years, I've had the luxury of having the opportunity to mentor younger leaders or newer leaders. And one of the things I found was there was a commonality amongst them all, or most of them, and that is, and it's not just in this country, it's in other countries too. We see someone that we work with that is a fabulous individual contributor, and we make them a manager. And we say to them, here's a team we want you to manage. Here's what they do. Good luck. And we don't give them a roadmap of how to be successful. More and more companies, even the large ones, have done away with the training department where they train people on business and how to handle certain things. And so as I was looking for how can I give back to the people who have blessed me in my life with being terrific leaders. And so I decided that when I retire, I want to do leadership coaching. And so I said, if I'm going to do that, I need to write a book. And so that's how the book came about. And so this has been a very busy year for me. The book has been out. We have sold over 1,500 copies.
Wow.
We hit #1 for a couple of days. So it's a bestseller. And so I'm excited to talk about it with you and with your audience.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And, you know, I'm so excited to talk about the book and to learn directly from you, right? So in your book, Jim, you challenge the old saying that leaders are born, not made. So what experiences in your own journey convince you that leadership can be developed? And how can emerging leaders start building those skills today?
So I'll give you an example. If it was genetic, I would not be a leader today. My dad was a carpenter. His dad was a mason. My great-grandfather was a chicken farmer. There's not a leader in any of them. However, I've been in leadership most of my professional career, and I can tell you my leadership has evolved as I've learned more and more about people and the world around us. In fact, on a podcast not long ago, someone asked me, compare your leadership today to when you were first a leader. And it made me think, and then I realized I was horrible as a leader. I didn't know anything. Nobody gave me a roadmap. And I thought, I need to find these people and apologize. But that goes back almost 40 years. But I have had a blessed life. I've had some great leaders that I've worked for. I've also had some not so great leaders as well. And so putting together a framework that can help others, I think was really, really important to me.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think before we talk more about, an effective leader, let's define what a leader is first. In your own definition, what is a leader?
So to me, there's a difference between a manager and a leader. A manager is going to manage tasks. A manager is going to make sure that the conveyor belt runs. But a leader is the one that's going to motivate, set the vision, and the tone of the organization for how it's going to, or the culture of the organization. And so to me, a leader is far above that. And a leader needs to be amongst the people. A leader that just sits behind a closed door is not a leader. I strongly believe that. I knew a leader that every morning would park on the side of an office building, go in the side entrance of the building, and would take the service elevator up to the floor where his office was. And he did that so he didn't have to interface with the people. And that is so wrong.
Wow, that is interesting. Why would someone want to become a leader then?
I would ask myself that same question.
It's hard, right?
To me, somebody also asked me, when does leadership start for you? Does it start when you get your cup of coffee in the office? And I said, no, it starts when your feet hit the floor and you get out of bed in the morning. Because everything you do from that moment until you go back to bed that evening, you have an opportunity to impact somebody's life.
Right.
And we need to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned earlier that if you want to be a leader, you need to be present, right? You have to be amongst the people. So can you elaborate on that? What do you mean amongst the people? Do you have to meet with them every day? How can you be involved?
You don't have to meet with them every day, but you have to be accessible. You have to be willing to sit in the same lunchroom with them, not eat lunch in your office. You have to be visible and walking around and talking to people. You don't have to do it 8 hours a day, but you have to have a presence amongst the people.
Right.
If you don't have a presence amongst the people, they will not see you as the leader or visionary of the organization.
Yeah. How can we translate that to the online world? Because most companies right now, they work from home, so they see each other through Zoom, right? So, and when you have a meeting, it's like being intentional about meeting with a team or with somebody. So how can we be present in the digital world that we live in right now?
So the world has really changed because of COVID, but one of the things that I do is I meet with everyone that reports to me one-on-one every week. And I also meet with them as a team. We as a company every week have an all-hands meeting online. And we have a policy, because we are all remote, that you have to be on camera. There are 2 exceptions. One, you're ill and you don't feel well and you probably don't look well. And 2, if you're eating, because eating and that just looks annoying. But other than that, we expect the people to be on camera so that we can see the facial interactions. Because me as a leader, I have to be able to recognize when you're not having a good day, even if you don't verbalize it. And I can't do that if we're not looking at each other.
Yeah, that is so true. Especially when because there are also different personalities of leaders, right? I mean, if you are an extrovert, it's easy for you to get connected with people. It's very natural for you to do that. But for introverted leaders, it may take them a whole lot, before they can do what other extrovert leaders do. So when it comes to different personalities like introversion, extroversion, do you think the way how you approach leadership when it comes to intentionality, do you think they differ? Like, do you think it's different?
Well, everybody that you're interacting with is different, but I believe one thing is you have to treat everyone the same way. So even if you're an introvert, I should not avoid talking to you because you're an introvert. I should make an opportunity to have a conversation with you so that I can get to know you better and you get to know me better as a leader, and so that we have a better working environment together. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's different ways to do that, but it would be wrong of a leader to ignore people who are an introvert if they're an extrovert, or vice versa. Because one of the things that employees will look at is consistency. And are you behaving the same way over and over and over again? And if they see inconsistency, they'll see instability. And one of the pillars that we have is stability. And that's the ability to demonstrate to your employees that you're going to behave the same way in the same situation over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So in the book, you have integrity, focus, compassion, stability, empathy, and humor as the 6 pillars in leadership, right? So I want to talk about integrity a little bit. To me, this is also non-negotiable for my team members. I always tell them integrity is non-negotiable to me. So you have to be transparent and honest about things. But then when I was reading your book, I was also like, but integrity also applies to me as their leader, right? So talk about integrity in leadership. Like, what do you mean about integrity in leadership?
So it was interesting, and I tell this story in the book as well. This hit me the year I graduated college, because that same year I ran for a local political office in the town I lived in. The age of 22. I was so different then.
Wow.
And I won. And the city administrator asked me shortly after the election to stop in and visit with him, and I did. And we were talking, and he congratulated me, and he eventually said, I did ask you here because I want to ask you a favor. And I did not know what he was going to say. I'm not even sworn in the office and somebody's asking me for a favor, and I'm thinking, oh my God, but it was nothing like that. He actually said something that has guided my entire life and career since that day. And he said to me, Jim, every night when you put your head on the pillow and before you close your eyes, I want you to ask yourself one question. And that question is, did I do anything today for my own personal self-benefit that was at the expense of another individual, group of individuals, or organization? And he went on to say, if you answer yes, you need to immediately stop and do 2 things. Figure out how to unwind what you did, and figure out how to never, ever do it again. And that hit me like a brick, because that told me that everything that I do has always got to be with complete integrity. And there's no wavering from that.
Right.
I have led my entire professional career that way. I have had situations where I have been challenged to do things by a superior that were wrong, and I stood my ground and never wavered. And sometimes it costs you some points at work, but the reality is I'm not going to be that person that breaks those rules, legally or otherwise. And so that message has carried me for 40 some years.
Right. Yeah. So what is the best thing to do? Let's say, for example, a leader made a mistake and it put a negative image onto the business, not just onto the business, but also the leader itself. Like, how can you regain your reputation back after making a mistake that affects you as the leader in the business?
Here's the big challenge with that. Once somebody doesn't trust you, regaining their trust is very difficult. So if you're operating with integrity, and they not only will they not trust you, they won't believe in you. If you try to show them compassion or empathy, they'll take it as false.
Mm-hmm.
They won't take it as being sincere. And it will erode the culture, and it will erode the loyalty and following that the leader has within the organization.
So what's the best thing to do? Just apologize?
I would face the fact right away, tell them what you're going to do to unwind it, and tell them what you're going to do to never do it again. Just like I was told in 1983.
I love that. Sometimes it's those three things that you mentioned, they're kind of like easy to say, right? Sometimes it's hard to do, right? Because, you have your pride, your ego, and you're embarrassed as well of the situation, right?
Right, but the longer you wait to do it, the more damage is done.
Right.
The quicker you face the music and resolve it, the sooner you and others can move forward.
Right, exactly. Let's talk about compassion and empathy. They kind of go hand in hand, right? Like, when it comes to compassion and empathy, let's say a team member is sick, right? And that person needs time off and maybe some financial help to pay for bills and other stuff. Like, how can you show compassion and empathy towards the team member when you know that team member's work is going to be affected, and there are other team members and clients that are heavily dependent on that person?
So, like you said in the opening, leadership isn't easy. And you learn as you evolve as a leader. But I'll give you an example, a similar example to what you were saying, which is a true example, not a made up story. A couple of years ago, I had a woman that worked for me that was working 7 days a week, and it was over the summer, and I knew that she was a single mom. And I went to her and I said, it was getting closer to when school would start. And I said, I don't want to mention names, but I asked her, have you had any time off with your son this summer? She said, no, I've got too much on my plate. I said, well, that stops today. It was a Wednesday. And I said to her, you're going to check out now, and I don't want to see you online, and I don't want to see you till Monday. I want you to spend the next 5 days with your son. Turn off the computer. Don't do anything. Because I had the ability to do that. I didn't have the ability to take her and her kid to Disneyland or whatever, but I did have the ability to give her the time. And I also didn't charge her for PTO time. Because for the last 3 months, she's been working almost 7 days a week. Now, I'm not the average manager who tries to follow the book or whatever. In this case, we had gotten more than 40 hours a week out of this woman. She had busted her butt at the expense of spending time with her son, and I had an obligation to fix that. Well, she turned me down, but only temporarily. She said, I have a lot I have due this week. Can I do it next week? And I said, yes, but if you don't do it next week, you and I are going to have a conversation you're not going to like. And I just left it at that. And the next Wednesday came, she sent me a message. She said, I'm shutting my computer off. I will leave my cell phone on in case you need to call me. I didn't call her. And she spent the next 5 days with her son. On Monday morning, she shot me a note and thanked me for giving her that time and forcing her to take that time to be with her son. Because she'll never get it again. that summer's going to be gone. And so I think as a leader, we have to look for those opportunities and be able to tell when somebody's in over their head, or their chin is a little lower today, or their smile isn't the same, to ensure that we have a conversation with them to say, hey, is there anything I can do to help you? You know, you don't look yourself today. You look a little stressed out today. What can I do for you? And so that's how I would approach a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
And things that I have the ability to control, I can make those changes.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Okay. So it seems like building a relationship with your team member is important, right? Do you think that's something that leaders should do? Yes.
So I believe in having a relationship with my team members.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean that they're going to come over on Saturday night for dinner, or I'm going to go to their house for dinner.
No, yeah.
Right? Does it mean we could go out for happy hour as a group? Sure, we could do that. But we have to have a relationship. We have to be able to communicate with each other. We're on the same team. A team doesn't function if only 5 people get in the huddle when there's 10 people or 11 people on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's got to be able to come to the table to be able to talk about the things we're dealing with, whether it's at a meeting room table or on Zoom or whatever, in order to have an effective and a productive team.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Was there a time you built a relationship with a team member, you developed this person, and as a leader, you help this person, with his or her career, or with his or her livelihood? So was there a time you did that and then that person left, and for no reason, no quote unquote valid reason, what did you feel? Has that ever happened to you?
It has. But it's happened for good reason, because they had an opportunity that was better than what they were doing, and I always encourage them, whether it's with me on my team or our company, to always take care of themselves first. And I've often even helped people find a job because they felt they weren't having fun with what they were doing any longer. And if you're not having fun, you go home angry, you kick the dog or yell at the cat, or you do something. Not the dog. But you do something, and that's not right, and that's not fair to your family or to your pets.
Right.
So if there's a situation where somebody comes to me and says, Jim, I'm having a tough time with the changes of late. I really think I need a break from this company. No offense to you, you've helped me a lot. But can you point me in the direction of what might be good for my career? And we'll sit down and I'll help map out something for them.
I love that. Because I feel like some leaders, they get hurt when, people leave them. They think that they spend too much time investing on that person, and, they just get betrayed, or they feel betrayed by those people because they feel like they invested too much time building them up only to see them go.
Well, let me tell you something about that person that I just told you about.
Okay.
That person has come back to work for me 2 more times in their career. So they knew where they were. They knew the type of manager or leader I was. And when they were in a situation where they thought it was time to move on, I was their first phone call.
I love that.
So to me, it's all about making them better.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And let's talk about humor in leadership. This is actually my favorite part in the book. So why add humor in leadership? And okay, that's my first question. And the second question is, do you feel like it's easy for people who are very humorous to insert or inject humor in leadership?
So let me clarify first for the listeners. When I talk about humor in leadership, I'm not saying that the leader has to be the comedian at the water cooler at 10 a.m. or at the coffee machine at 8 a.m. That's not what I'm talking about. I use humor in specific situations, and I'll tell you a couple of them. When I get the people together to kick off a meeting, I'll start off with something humorous to say, really just to redirect them, get them to clear their minds and get ready for the agenda that we're going to talk about. That's number one. Number two, I use it to diffuse conflict. If I see two people having conflict, I will use humor to redirect them and then bring them in to discuss what are they going through. And then the third opportunity to use humor is really just to show the human side of yourself. When you can laugh at yourself, people will see you as more human. And when I use humor, I'm not telling ethnic jokes. I'm not telling jokes about society. I'm not telling political jokes, but I'm talking about self-deprecating humor of things that I did that was stupid and funny. And when people see that you can laugh at yourself, they can connect with you better. They realize he's no different. You know, I had an employee not very long ago say to me, you know, I'd really like to learn more about leadership, but I don't really have anybody that I can go to. And I said, well, what about me? And she looked at me and she said, well, I can't come to you. I said, well, why not? She said, well, you're way up here. I said, that's nonsense. We're here. You and I are here. Don't think of titles. Leadership isn't about titles. Leadership is about helping people further their own careers and to develop. And if I can help you, I'm willing to put in the time if you're willing to accept it. And it was an interesting conversation because she was extremely uncomfortable that here I was from my position offering to help her in her leadership journey, but I do that every day.
Yeah, I love that. And so do you feel like humor in leadership is easy for leaders with personalities like you or kind of like me, you know, because I'm a very outgoing person. Like it's easy for me to like, you know, interject humor in my leadership style. So do you feel like for some people that might be hard?
It might. Look, leadership is not easy.
Everything is hard.
All of the 6 pillars are hard. There's
Right.
not a book that you can pick up that's going to make you compassionate, right? You've got to experience it and feel it internally when you see it or do it in order to learn how to deliver it. And so humor is the same thing. I think it's something that has to be developed. You know, one of my favorite people in life that always used humor to start off a discussion was President Ronald Reagan. And President Reagan, in his early career, was a Democrat, and his later career was a Republican. I'm not making this a political statement, but what he had the unique ability to do was to bring people together. And it was humor that did it.
I love that. Bringing people together, you know, that's our responsibility, you know, one of our responsibilities as a leader. So as a leader, you know, you develop your leaders, you take care of your people, making sure, you know, that they're happy and satisfied with what they're doing, right? But when it comes to us leaders, who's taking care of us? Who's developing us?
So I believe everyone needs a mentor. I have mentors. I have more than one mentor. When for certain types of issues, I'll go to one person, another type of issue, I'll go to another one, and I'll get input. And I think it's very important for leaders to have mentors. There is nobody in this world that is perfect. We all make mistakes. The more input you can get from people that you trust, the better you're going to be. I don't advocate for managers to be the mentor of their employees. They should be mentors of people in other departments because you still have a manager-employee relationship, And the mentoring could be on topics that are very sensitive for an employee to talk to the manager about, especially if it's about the manager. So, but I truly, and I mention it in the book, I'm very embedded in preaching about mentoring as something that everybody needs to have. We all need somebody to talk to. And I'd rather you talk to a human than talk to somebody you don't know on Facebook.
Right.
Right. And how do you know whether to trust what they're going to tell you?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I love that. I love everything that you so far said in this podcast interview, Jim. But as we wrap up, I have a question for you from my previous guest. And that question is, what is one thing that you feel like you are spending too much of your time right now, and what are you doing about it?
You know, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that question.
I think it's very timely.
It is very timely. I have had a very, very busy year. I launched the book in January. I have a full-time job. I'm speaking on the side. And the one thing that I've been trying to do that I need to cut back on is finding more work to do. I mean, finding places to speak or finding places to talk about your book. And it's all good and it all helps, but it takes time. And I'm blessed to have a wife who reminds me and grounds me periodically and tells me, you need to stop that. You need to stop that. Cut it back. You have a wife here. I expect you to talk to me at 8:00 at night, not being on the phone with some book editor. And so, in fact, after my book came out, we're out to dinner with some friends, dear friends. And one of them had a very serious statement to ask. And they said, "What will your next book be about?" And before I could answer, my wife responded with, "There will not be a next book. I have not seen my husband for a year. He's been in the same house, but I've not seen him for a year."
Aww. So your wife is doing something about it.
That's correct.
I love that. All right, Jim, what question do you want to leave or do you want to ask my next guest?
I want you to ask your next guest, is there anything you've done in your life that if you had to do it over again, you wouldn't?
Wow. I you know what? I love that I'm asking my guests to ask questions for my next guest because the questions are very thoughtful, and I asked those questions myself as well. So thank you for that question, Jim. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners? Any words of wisdom you want to leave them today?
I think a couple of things. Number one, find a mentor. If you don't know how to find a mentor, look me up on LinkedIn or my website, and I will help guide you to how to find a mentor. No charge. No charge. The other thing I want to leave for your listeners is I like to always ask for feedback. And feedback, whether the messages that we've been talking about on this show between Kristy and I, whether they resonate with you. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Are we all full of hot air? Whatever it is. And in fact, the first 3 people who post a comment on this episode when it comes out, 3 people will get an autographed copy of my book free of charge. Now, Kristy, where do you want them to post their message?
Well, I'll be posting this everywhere on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So if you're on those different platforms, you can comment on those platforms.
Okay, perfect. Now, folks, just comment. Your name will be there. Do not put your address in social media. Either Kristy or I will get back to you. We'll get your address and I will ship you the book because I'll have to sign it first. So again, please don't put your name out in the public view. But this has been fun. Kristy, thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Genuinely, I love your book. I love everything that you shared here. And I want people to know more about how they can be effective, in their business and in their leadership role. So, Jim, where can people find you online?
So online, the best place to find me is really on my website, which is www.jimcarlough.com. And you can register there to my newsletter, which I haven't started producing yet, but I'm getting ready to launch, in which will give out leadership tips and other things. And it won't be something like that comes out every day, because I don't believe in spamming people. But if you want to get connected, you can do it that way, or LinkedIn.
I love it. I'll include those links in the show notes. Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.